Shalom lekulam. Today on Hebrew Book Review, I'm going to talk about a set of board books called Alef-Bet Box. Welcome back to Hebrew Book Review, where each Thursday I review a book or other resource that has helped me or my son learn Hebrew. Today I am reviewing the Alef-Bet Box, published by C&R Creations. I purchased this set at Israel Bookshop, which is an online store out of Brookline, Massachusetts. This is a set of board books for toddlers that comes neatly packaged in this little box with a strap with a hook and loops fastener that keeps it all together. It is quite religious. I'd say about 90%. So if you are a secular family, it is probably not for you. All of the kids are wearing kippot or other modest clothing, and many of the items that they use for each letter are religious items. The font is a huge Times Roman font. Very easy for anyone to read, and there is no cursive, and it is written in Ktiv Malay. Before using these books, the children themselves do not need to know anything about Hebrew. I mean, it's specifically intended for toddlers who don't even really know how to read. So it's just getting them used to the alphabet. It is definitely helpful, though, if the parents know something about Hebrew and or about Judaism. The books are full of photos of religious items, and of course, you're not just going to go through the book and say the word and be done with it. You're going to want to talk about it with your little one, and it's really helpful if you know what they all are. Each book focuses on one letter of the alphabet. So here we have Gimel. And then on the other side, it tells you how to say the letter in case you don't know. And then it has one name, either of a boy or a girl, and then two words that both start with that letter. And those words might be in Hebrew or they might be in Yiddish. And in fact, this set was the inspiration for this channel. I bought this set thinking that it would have more vocabulary or more phrases or maybe a little more to talk about in the books. And at the time I bought it, my son was already way past this level, but I had no idea just what a young child these books were geared for. So of course I never actually used it with my son. It's definitely best for toddlers, and even though the books are kind of small, they are board books. They're hard. They won't get thrashed very easily by your toddler. And the parents can point out the items in the photos or maybe act them out. And the drawings and the photos are really simple for that purpose. So for example, this is the Sheen book. Sheen on this side, we got Sheen here. And what do we have? We have a kid named Shimon. We have a shofar. And we have sheleg, snow. So if my kid had been the right age when I bought this set, I would have done something like, oh, here we have Sheen. This is Sheen. Mize? Who is this? Ze Shimon. This is Shimon. V'ma yesh leShimon? What does Shimon have? Yesh lo kadur. He has a ball. ומה זה? זה שופר. טו 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 טו, שופר. Matai anachnu shom'im shofar? When do we hear a shofar? We hear it at Rosh Hashanah. Ken, Rosh Hashanah, shofar. Umazeh, sheleg, brr, sheleg. So, something like that. A little bit older child might be able to say what the items are or read the words themselves if they are just getting to that point where they can put the syllables together and make and sound out a word. Definitely the parents need to be familiar with Hebrew because even though there is a transliteration on every page, there is no explanation of the transliteration. And the transliteration does not include stress, so you don't know which syllable is stressed. And that is pretty typical for Hebrew transliterations into English. But it is problematic when a parent doesn't know Hebrew all that well and doesn't know where to stress each syllable. Also, the transliteration is inconsistent. So here in the Reish book, we have a rimon, a pomegranate, which is rimon, and you can see it's got an e vowel, a chirik, but they transliterated it with an e. And then over here we have regel, which has segels, right? You can see that these vowels are different, but it's still transliterated with E. Both of these are also E. And so the E has an inconsistent meaning. Does it mean E? Does it mean E? If you're not great with reading Hebrew, then you're going to struggle with these transliterations. Also, some words are not Hebrew, but rather Yiddish. So, for example, in the Gimel book, we have a grogger, and this is a noisemaker that we use at Purim time. And in Hebrew, they call that rashan. They don't call it grogger. So that's a Yiddish word. And also in the Hay book, we have Hamantash, which is another item that we use at Purim time. We don't use it, we bake them. They're like a pastry with a fruit filling. And in Hebrew, they call them Oznei Haman. They don't call them Hamantash. And in the Dalit book, we have a dreidel, which is a little spinning top that we use at Hanukkah time. And in Hebrew, it's called sevivon. It's not called dreidel. So now, this is not anything wrong with the book itself or the box itself. It specifically is called the Alef-Bet Box. And both Hebrew and Yiddish use the Alef-Bet. So they never claimed that all of the words inside would be in Hebrew. And most of them are, and all of the names are easily said in Hebrew. But these couple of words might be unfamiliar to people who are not from an Ashkenazi background. Also, the transliteration is very Ashkenazi. So, for example, this letter, I would pronounce that tet, but they write it as tes. And the two words that are inside, we've got talit, which they write talis, and a ring, which I would say taba'at, but they write it as taba'as because this taf without a dagesh in the middle in the Ashkenazi accent sounds like an S rather than like a T. Same with bet, they pronounce it base. And in the Zayin book, they have zemiros instead of zemirot. And they have zayis instead of zayit, right? So that's not something that's particularly bad, but it does, if you're trying to teach your child the Israeli, the typical Israeli accent, then this is not it. Most Israelis don't use the Ashkenazi accent. That is the accent used mostly by Jews of Eastern European descent. And some of them now live in Israel, and so yes, they're still using that accent. But the more typical accent in that's used all over Israel is the Sephardi accent. And so it's just a little bit of a different accent. But this isn't too much of a problem. You can cover up the transliteration if you want, or you can put a sticky note and write a Sephardi transliteration if that's what you want. And on that note, if you are trying to get your child to read the Hebrew letters, then you're going to have to cover up the transliteration, because they will just, if they already speak English, they're going to read the English transliteration rather than the Hebrew letters. So that's it for the Alef-Bet box. It definitely wasn't what I expected, and I wish I had known how few words were in each book before I bought it, because I probably wouldn't have bought it. But it can be a fun way if your kids are younger and they're still just learning to read. It can be a very fun way to introduce them to the Aleph-Bet, as well as some of those Jewish items, those holiday items that they will come across in their Jewish life. So, if you have any questions or feedback, please leave it in the comments and I will do my best to respond. And also, if you have another book or resource that you'd like me to review, let me know and I will put it on the list. Hit like if you enjoyed this video and subscribe and press the notification bell if you want to see more. And also check out Hebrew Vocab Boost on Sunday and Hebrew Grammar Help on Tuesday. Or you can just wait for next week's video, which will be on Counting in Hebrew by Sarah Mazor. Lehitraot bapa'am haba'ah. See you next time.